should be yourself, King. Should be yourself. And really the greatest thing that you could be is to be yourself.
God created you on purpose for a purpose, and this is the space where we help you become who you were made to be. So this is the Ike Inspiration podcast, and today I have a great guest named Alan. If you are familiar, Alan was already on this podcast, and we had a fantastic, great conversation filled with a lot of wisdom, and I'm glad that he's able to come on today and talk about Next Level University and the great work he's doing in the art of podcasting. For those who don't know, who don't remember, Alan is a business coach, and he also trains people on the art of podcasting and essentially personal development. And in this podcast, we are gonna go really deep into personal development and what that looks like in our lives. So thank you, Alan, for coming on. And first thing I want to touch to you about is, so last time I checked on YouTube, you are 2,154 podcast episodes in, man. That's insane. And I feel like you do that on a daily basis with Kevin. And I'm just curious, like, what's that like, and how have y'all been able to podcast for so long, man? You know,
yeah,
that's not normal.
No, thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. I think it starts with, first of all, thank you again for having me.
Yeah,
it's awesome to be back, man. I really appreciate it. I remember back in the day, I always say, I remember when it was crickets and no one cared. So I'm grateful. Anyone watching or listening, I'm grateful. Seriously, thank you. And ultimately, we won't waste your time. This is good. There's a lot of other things you could be watching. There's a lot of nonsense out there, and my only goal with this episode is anyone out there watching or listening, I hope that we help inspire them and motivate them to be a better version of themselves.
For sure.
To help them reach their potential. So I appreciate it with the podcast. Yeah, so we've done 2,000, you said 154. I think it's actually 56 now or something.
Okay.
But Kevin and I recorded earlier today. So we do an episode every day. We've done an episode every day. So we started out 8 years ago, back in 2017.
Yeah.
And we started out with 1 a week. And then eventually it was 2 a week. And then eventually it was 3 a week. And then eventually we jumped to 5 a week. And then we were like, you know what? Let's make this 1% improvement, success and personal development, health, wealth, life, and love, in your pocket from anywhere on the planet every single day, completely free. The way I see it is Kevin and I grew up in tough environments without fathers, and we needed mentors and role models desperately. And we were, I don't want to say misguided. Yeah, misguided. We're misguided. And we now we're grateful to have become the male role models we never had. And so it's, how do we do 1 a day? It's become, first of all, it's bigger than us. We have a community of people all over the world. We're heard in 180 countries now. I track the metrics every single day. We have over 1.5 million listens across our podcasts. And those are real, not bought. A lot of YouTube views are bought. And we have clients, and we work with 112 podcasters and business owners now, and we do a lot of their behind-the-scenes production work and all kinds of stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of YouTube views are actually purchased. They're bots. And once I learned that, I realized that we're doing it different. We're doing it based on fundamentals and personal development and fitness and health and wealth and love. And we're doing it real people in the real world. And that's why we have such a big community. I mean, we have sub-communities, we have, I just got off book club, that's why I was late. You were so graceful, I really appreciate it. I was on book club with 15 people earlier today, right? Like right before this. So when I first got into the space, I realized most people, unfortunately, are lying and or stretching the truth about the impact they're having. They're buying followers, buying Instagram accounts, buying bots that watch their YouTube videos, and we've seen all that. And so Kevin and I decided, you know what, we're gonna stick to helping real people in the real world in a really meaningful way, and we're gonna do an episode every single day. And we have a very, I don't know if you'd call it a cult following, but it's definitely people who believe what we believe, which is that you can get a little better today than you were yesterday, and you can get a little better today to be a better version of yourself tomorrow. And we don't take days off of getting better. And I know that you agree with that, and that's why I'm here. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, and when I watch your podcast, I always found it interesting, the relationship between you and Kevin. There's like a unique synergy where it feels like y'all are pulling and growing from each other, but like there's like a need and like a healthy complement where one is very business oriented, which is you, and then another person is like a lot more relatable, which is Kevin, and it kind of works in a weird way, like, and it's just interesting to show up every day like that. I already know how hard it is to show up as a podcaster, but to do it on a daily basis. Like, do y'all ever get tired of each other, or like, or like, or kind of bored of the process, like, because that's sometimes something people struggle with.
Brother, of course. It's interesting, and I'm so grateful, right, that people are impressed by that. I think that's important. I do think it's rare, and I think there's value in rarity.
Yeah.
But the truth is some days we don't want to record. So I'll give you an example. So I have another computer over here.
Yeah.
Kevin and I on Monday, we had a tough day, and we were recording from 8:45 to 11 p.m. at night.
Wow.
And he has a wife, right? And I have my beautiful girlfriend and future wife. So some days we work late to get it done. I mean, we needed an episode.
Yeah.
We needed an episode. We won't miss. So yes, of course, some days we don't want to fucking record.
Yeah.
But I believe in work ethic. I believe in discipline. I believe in consistency. I believe in sustainability. I believe in the compound effect. And I have the math, so I'm a big math guy. I know you know that.
Yeah.
And so I have it written up here. My one word is potential with a star next to it. And it says 0.1% improvement every day for 50 years. You become 84 million times better. And anyone can do this. You can put $1 in a financial calculator. Don't do it on ChatGPT because it's wrong. I had to have it correct itself. But put $1 in a financial calculator. Just Google financial calculator. Put $1 in.
Yeah.
Grow it by 0.1% per day for 50 years. And I can literally crunch the math. So 50 times, so 365 days in a year times 50 years, that's 18,250 days.
Wow.
And if you grow by 0.1% every day for 18,250 days, you have that $1 becomes 83 plus. So I rounded up to 84 million. And what is crazy that people don't know, Ike, is, and this is why we do one every day, is that if you take weekends off, it goes to 439,000. So if you and I, Ike, and I both put $1 in a financial calculator,
sure,
and I take weekends off and you don't, you end up with $84 million, and I only have 439,000. And so we apply that principle to absolutely everything. And so I don't take days off. I take time off, but I don't take entire days off. So sometimes it's an hour a day. Sometimes it's 18 hours a day. It's usually around 8 to 12 is usually my range. And so I work Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. front facing. And then Sundays I don't do any front facing stuff. So because I get peopled out. But ultimately I told you right before this, and again, this isn't me trying to brag here. In July, I crunched my numbers because I track everything. I'm an engineer. Everything's numbers for me. I did an average of 51 coaching sessions, trainings, and podcasts per week for all 4 weeks. So that's 204 for the month of July. And I'm actually trying to bump that number up, not down.
Wow. Yeah. See, so a lot of people would say that's insane. Like to do 51 coaching sessions or podcasts in a week, not even in a month, right? Per week or
per week.
That's
51 per week.
That's insane. Like even if someone said I did that in a month, that would sound a lot. Nevertheless, to do that in a week, and it's interesting because you talk about compound growth, and I'm a big fan of growing from discipline and consistency. I think though one of the hardest things about personal development and growing is I feel like when you read these self-help books or watch podcasts like ours, we're always talking about growth, but we're never actually talking about what that growth looks like. Like we're never actually saying, oh, like what does it look like? What does it feel like? I feel like sometimes we can get so caught up in working, and I'm not bashing that. I feel like we don't give ourselves enough time to actually understand like who we're becoming as a result. And one of the things that I've learned from you actually and Kevin was this cool concept called self-assigning, where essentially whenever you do something great or good, like you assign it, and then you allow yourself to recognize that, hey, this is a part of my identity.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the self-assigning piece is, it doesn't work unless you decided in advance to do it. And that's why I'm such a big believer in goal setting.
Yeah.
So my goal is to hit more than 51 next month. So when I do that, let's say I average 53, I'm going to self-assign it. Whereas most people are wandering around. I always joke and I say, first of all, not everyone wants to be an Olympic gold medalist. I understand that. But if you do want to achieve at very high levels, it's going to require a lot of you. And I always joke and I say, what if Michael Phelps's coach was like, hey, yeah, man, just jump in and swim around? It doesn't, you can't do that. Most people are winging it, and I'm not trying to be unkind, I'm trying to be honest.
Yeah.
And no one at my company, none of the people I coach, everything's by design, everything's engineered. I'm an engineer. And you can literally reverse engineer your goals and dreams. You can reverse engineer your success. I'm not coaching, training, and podcasting 51 times a week for no reason. Yeah. I'm trying to be a more effective communicator. I love it too. It's meaningful work. I don't always love it, right? But it's meaningful work. And I'm trying to be all I can be and help others do the same. And so Michael Phelps, I studied his career. From age 13 until basically the 2008 Olympics, when he won all those gold medals, he was in the pool every single day for 5 years straight. Birthdays, holidays, you name it. Yeah. Now, he's also been open about the mental health challenges that come with that. Okay? And so at the end of the day, this life isn't for everyone. Yeah. But just because you don't have to dial it up to level 10 like me and Michael Phelps doesn't mean you can't do 2, 3, 4, 5. And the truth is, most people think I'm out of my mind. I get it. Okay, I do. I get it. But the truth is, all of you could be better. You could work harder. You could become more. And what if 51 a week for me actually doesn't feel that difficult because I've become the type of person? It's just like with Michael Phelps. Like if him and I swam together, I would get destroyed. He could literally barely try and dominate me. And in podcasting, I could probably do the same with him. Yeah. So it just comes down to adapting over time to reach your full potential. And so if you don't want to reach your full potential, you don't really have to try that hard. You don't have to track anything. You don't have to dial in. You don't need coaches and mentors and therapists. But if you do want to reach your full potential and you're serious about it, and you want a great quality of life, and you want a lot of money, and you want to lead a team, and you want to start a company, you're going to have to really figure out who you are, who you want to be, and you're going to have to bridge that gap every single day. And sugarcoating it would be doing you a disservice.
Yeah. So one thing I'm curious to learn from this, from doing so many episodes and 51 per week, which is just, it's mind-boggling. You know, I'm just curious, like, what is the hardest part for you personally in doing it, or does it not feel hard because you're constantly doing it? Because I feel like with everything, with such great dedication, there's usually a cost. Maybe like you mentioned with Michael Phelps, there's a cost to your mental health, or like if you focus on one thing, you might have to sacrifice like working out or maybe relationships. You know, so what would you say is the trade-off for being so consistent in one area of your life?
Trade-offs for everything. There is no such thing as something for nothing. So yes, there's always a cost. The trade-off is I have a very minimal social life. Okay. I have very few friends. I have no friends, to be completely honest. And it's
Kevin
by
is
choice.
Not a friend? Kevin is not a friend?
He's a business partner. Yeah. But I haven't seen Kev. I only see Kev once a year. In person. Yeah. My best friend is my beautiful girlfriend and future wife, Emilia. Like, listen, I'm just keeping it real here.
Okay.
Like, I used to have friends, high school friends and college friends and corporate friends, and I brought my high school friends to college and my college friends to corporate. Brother, I got in a car accident 10 years ago. And I faced all my regrets. And I decided I was going to do all I could with all I had from that point on to reach my potential and help others do the same. And the truth is, I have given up a lot of friends and family and time with them. And that's what you do. And people sugarcoat it. They say you shouldn't have to do that. It depends the level you want to achieve. Yeah. Yeah. And so the cost is, first of all, it's not easy. Yeah. The moment it's easy, you should be aiming higher, in my opinion. I was late for a reason. The reason I was late is because it's really hard. Now, doing 51 a week is not impossible. It's doable. Doing 51 a week without ever being late feels impossible.
Yeah.
Because they're back to back to back to back to back. Now people ask, well, how do you not burn out?
Yeah.
And it's a duality. I kind of do sometimes, but I work really, really, really hard to take care of the asset.
Mm-hmm.
So sleep, I track my sleep every single day. Hydration, I always have water on my person. Always. You'll never catch me without a water bottle.
Yeah.
Nutrition, I eat very well, all things considered. Not perfect, but well. Exercise. I've exercised now, and again, I used to share this all the time. I don't want to be... Yeah. I've exercised now every day for 1,258 days. So ever since March 1st of 2022, Emilia and I have not missed a day of exercising. And the reason why is because exercise is critical for your body to be able to perform at the levels that I'm trying to perform at. I used to be bashful about all this, Ike. I mean, even the last time you and I interviewed, I couldn't share half of this because I was sick of being seen as a freak of nature. But the truth is, I just got to be me. I got to own it. And so I haven't missed a workout since March 1st of 2022. And I'm never going to miss again. And that's my intention.
Yeah.
And I also work every single day. And most people think that that's nuts and think that's bad for me. And what I say to them is, no, that's bad for you. And one of the things that I think is really fascinating, a lot of the people that give advice, they say, you think too much, you work too hard. It's like, well, I'm more fulfilled than you are. So maybe this life isn't for you, but it is for me. And I know that. It's my calling. I know that. It's me versus me. And so not everyone wants to be Michael Phelps. Not everyone wants to work that hard. Not everyone wants to reach their full potential, but I do. And I've decided in advance to do that. And I do believe that you can be very fulfilled on that journey. Now, health, wealth, and love. I think everyone wants to be healthy, wealthy, and in love. I do speeches and I say, who here wants to be healthier, wealthier, and more in love? Every hand goes up. And then the second question is, who here wants to exercise daily? Very few hands go up. Well, you can't. What if I told you can't be the healthiest version of yourself if you don't exercise daily? And people don't like to hear the truth. They don't like to hear the truth, but you would be better off exercising daily, even if it's a walk. And that's a scientific fact. But again, it can be really daunting. It can be really hard. So start small. Start with 10 minutes, then go to 15, then go to 20, then get to 25, and you're going to live longer. You can do all the research. Daily exercise is good for your brain, good for your body. Now, I'm not saying you have to run a marathon every day, right? But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure you got a lot of pushback because essentially you represent the hustle culture of the world, where like it's like, hustle and work, and it almost has this. I'm sure you're a fan of Alex Hormozi, Alex Hormozi, or to an extent, and it just to offer some pushback. I'm just curious. Is there ever a point where it may have been off-putting, or may have been like, man, this is just not what I thought it would be, or is this everything? I guess how do you deal with the pushbacks or the uncertainties or whatnot? Because for some people, family and friends are very important. For me, it is. It's a huge priority for me, and it's something that brings me a lot of fulfillment and purpose. But obviously, what's for me isn't for you, and that's I think where the cognitive dissonance is. I simply have a preference that you don't have, and that's okay. And I think people don't like accept that enough.
Yeah, they have a really hard time believing that. Well, so it all comes down to goals and core values.
Yeah.
And core beliefs. So I had tons of friends, like I said, but then I got in a car accident that I faced mortality, and it was the second chance my dad never got because my dad died in a car when he was 28 when I was 2. So in 1991, he died suddenly in a car. And
so that must have hit.
Brother, so when I was 26, I got in a car accident, my fault, head-on collision, not a fender bender. This was a bad car accident. Fortunately, no one was killed.
Yeah.
No one was permanently injured. Very fortunate, because it would have been my fault.
Yeah.
And after that, I just decided, I made a promise to myself I'd give it all I had to reach my full potential. And that's not anyone else's goal. I mean, the truth is, you know as well as I do, you're not reaching your full potential either.
Yeah.
And that can be very daunting for people to hear, but it's the truth, because you want other things and you care about your quality of life and all that kind of stuff. So it's not an all or nothing.
Yeah.
I still see my mother. It's just not that often.
Yeah.
I see Emilia's family. It's just not that often.
Yeah.
And so it all depends on the frequency, intensity, density, and duration that you want. It all depends on your core values, and it all depends on the trade-offs you're willing to make.
Yeah.
Obviously, an Olympic gold medalist, I like the metaphor. It's a metaphor. I treat myself like an Olympic gold medalist, regardless of whether or not I'm in the Olympics.
Yeah.
So I decided in advance that I would do all I could to change the world in a positive way.
Yeah.
And if I'm not giving it my all, and that doesn't mean I don't still watch movies. That doesn't mean I don't still eat pizza every now and then. That doesn't mean I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be perfect, but I am trying to be better every single day. And I do believe that I don't think I represent hustle culture necessarily. What I do represent for sure, though, is increasing your time and effort toward worthy goals, for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like, and you already probably experienced this, your personality will be very off-putting to people who don't have a similar personality or work ethic or beliefs, and I think you're probably the type of person, when they hear you speak, if they are not working towards their goal or as being as committed as you are, it's a reminder to them, and then they're going to start being like, oh no, fuck this dude, or like, why does this guy think he knows everything?
Yeah.
And I can imagine how hard that can be. And so, you keep mentioning full potential. And, for me, that's important. I think of the concept of self-actualization, which is essentially, becoming the greatest version of yourself. Yeah, in a weird way, I personally don't necessarily have clarity on what full potential looks like. Do you have clarity on yourself, or do you, like, what does that look like for you? Do you have a vision, maybe like 30 years from now, or what does full potential look like? Because it's kind of vague, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're working so hard for that. What is that?
Yeah. I love this conversation. First of all, I think this is the conversation that needs to be had, because I don't have this perfect ideal image of self in the future that I'm working toward. It's a duality of, on some deep weird level, I feel like I'm capable of this, and this is a blurry vision of what could be in myself, others, in the world, and the change I can make. And then there's the sort of, you reverse engineer that and down to, the way I see it is seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, quarters, years, decades, lifetime. But I go macro to micro. Most people think micro to macro. So I do lifetime first, so I have a goal that I want to live to a certain age. Yeah. And then I reverse everything behind from that. And it's all based on, and as corny as this is going to sound, it's aiming at the highest good that I can conceptualize and believe in, and working every day to actualize that. You mentioned self-actualization. And fulfillment, I believe, is a byproduct. And when I say byproduct, what I mean by that is, if I want you to laugh, I have to say something funny. I can't make you laugh. So people say, well, I want to be happy. Happiness is a byproduct. Happiness can't be the goal. That's why we say the pursuit of happiness. It's like a goal you never get to. Yeah. And so fulfillment, I think, is deep meaning. And I think deep meaning comes from aiming at a worthy goal that is in alignment with your unique strengths and weaknesses, and trying to contribute beyond yourself and grow to become the best version of yourself. And as esoteric as that all sounds, you can engineer that, and you can do it. And I used to be, and I'll call myself out for this, prior to my car accident, I had tons of friends, tons of family. When I say tons of family, I mean family friends, because I didn't have a lot of family growing up. But I had parties and barbecues and high school friends, college friends, corporate friends. I was lost. I was hopeless and helpless, but I was pretending to be happy. Yeah. And I believe that that's where the majority of people are. And I understand. I was there too. From the outside in, I looked like I was living the dream. I made almost 200 grand a year. I had more than enough money. I had $150,000 in a Vanguard account with all tech companies. I had more than, I had friends and beautiful girlfriend, the whole nine. And that was great in the stuff and the status, but it wasn't deeply meaningful. And so when I was the least fulfilled, I was putting on the biggest show. And to just walk around aimlessly, people say, not all those who wander are lost. Most of them are. Most of them are. People are helpless, hopeless, and nihilistic. They're struggling. I get it. You can look at the stats. You can research this. If you're wandering around aimlessly, you probably feel terrible and don't know why. There's a science to fulfillment. There's a science that neurochemically helps you be a happy, fulfilled, productive, healthy person. And you can study it. There's a book called The Art of Impossible that I think does the best job. Have you ever read The Art of Impossible?
No.
Okay, The Art of Impossible is a book by Steven Kotler. I interviewed him several years ago. The book came out in 2019. It's actually behind me.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite books of all time. And he says, not having goals is bad for you. Human beings are designed to achieve. We're designed to shoot for something beyond our current. We're hunters, gatherers, farmers. We're designed to strive and not arrive. We're designed to have goals and to achieve and to build and to create. This phone right here, the camera, the StreamYard that we're using, the internet, the computer, like, I'm not saying to build negative things. I'm saying that we all know what it's like to watch a Netflix series and feel horrible inside. Even though we enjoyed the whole Netflix series, we don't feel good about ourselves. We all know what it's like to play a video game and have a blast and then feel empty after. What fulfills human beings neurochemically is achievement toward worthy goals in alignment with your highest self. And I know how corny that can sound, but there's a science to it. And unfortunately, I can't explain it as well as the book does. But the book basically says if you don't design your life around flow, you're not going to get the neurochemistry to be a happy, healthy, wealthy person. And everyone can see, like, if I could show you a picture of me at 26, I was a miserable human being, brother. It's night and day different. Anyone who's watching or listening, you can tell that I'm healthy and fulfilled. You can feel it. You can see it. I'm ignited. That's what everyone really wants. And I was just as guilty of any before of squandering my potential.
Yeah, interesting. So I feel like, you are in alignment with who you are made to be, and you found that. Interestingly, it seems like you always incorporated this sense of discipline where but it seems like you found the right, what am I trying to say? The right path or the right vehicle to put it in, because even before you mentioned you had multiple businesses and you had everything that everyone could want, quote unquote, externally, and I bet you were still working hard, like you're incredibly conscientious, but that didn't really relate to what you wanted.
Well, if I can share, I feel like I was resting on talent.
You were resting on talent.
Yeah, I worked harder than the average bear.
Yeah.
And I definitely, conscientiousness does come natural.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, conscientiousness is organization, prudence, diligence, and work ethic, and perfectionism, which is just being thorough.
Yeah.
But dude, in high school, I got straight A's. I got high distinction at one of the top engineering schools in the world. But if I'm very honest, and I got my master's in business, and I did success in corporate. I didn't have multiple businesses. I didn't start my first business I started in 2012, and that broke up. It was four roommates and I, college friends, and it was called Campus Libre. And I didn't start a business again until almost 10 years later.
Wow.
Till I was 26, so I think 7 years later. But I would say I was always on the higher end of achiever and the higher end of goals.
Yeah.
And I would say I was probably on the higher end of work ethic. But to be completely honest, I was barely scratching the surface of what I was truly capable of. I was resting on talent. Like, you're not really supposed to share this stuff socially, but some people are gifted, and it's not that hard. Like, I got straight A's in math my entire career, my entire life, but it always came naturally. It came naturally. Some people are really, really gifted, and certain things, like, so for me, for example, I'm never going to beat LeBron James at basketball. The dude is gifted and hardworking. And I'm not gifted as gifted as him in basketball.
Yeah.
There's other things that I am gifted in: conscientiousness, structure, mathematical thinking, for sure. That's a huge advantage that I have, because most people don't think in numbers, so they don't know what they're leaving on the table. They don't know the 1%, compounded over time is 37 times better at the end of the year. If they knew that, maybe they'd change, right? So at the end of the day, I was resting on talent, for sure. I was a fraction of what I was capable of, and that's the truth. And after my car accident, I decided to turn that around.
Gotcha. So the car accident changed you, and now you're on a relentless path towards achieving and becoming that version of yourself. And so walk us towards what that work does look like, with the podcasting thing. Because, as a podcaster myself, I'm always interested in what other podcasters do and how you're continuously growing and what that growth looks like for you. I know you got several stuff going on, like you're a business coach and you coach others, and then you also got you got the Next Level University podcast. Then you have a podcast with your wife, she's not your wife, but soon to be wife,
Yep.
So what does that day-to-day work look like, and how do you balance everything?
Well, again, for those of you who have an aversion to structure, bear with me, okay? You don't have to dial it up to 10 like I have, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm an engineer. That's my disclaimer. I'm an engineer. All right, so I break everything into thirds. So my days are broken into thirds. So there's morning, afternoon, and evening. The morning, I say, is for me. And that's when I do my learning. That's when I do my mobility. That's when I do my Dreamliner, so my journaling. We have something called the Next Level Dreamliner I do.
Nice.
And that's when I set up my day. Okay, it's for me. I don't talk to anyone except for Emilia. Like, it's the mornings are for me.
Yeah.
And then 11 a.m. strikes, and it's game time. So morning, afternoon, evening. Afternoons are for service. That's when I coach, train, and podcast. Okay? Back-to-backs usually. I'm very grateful. I'm in demand. It's awesome. Okay. 8 p.m. hits, and I'm supposed to close the store. Rarely does that happen, let's be honest. I'm 36 years old, man. I'm in the grind time. I'm not going to... It's not going to be like this at 66, right?
Yeah.
Like, people, it's so hard for me, and I'll share this too. Emilia's father's a very successful business owner. And he would love me to be around more, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
And he thinks I work too much, and I understand. But I said, Nate, I would love to see what you were doing at 36. He was grinding. He was all over the world. 30s are where you're supposed to get it together. Brother, you just turned 30, get it together. These are the years, man.
Yeah.
Brother, these are the years. You're not getting any younger.
For sure.
Okay? Now, 40s and 50s, you have more credibility. People know you. Those are power years. 20s is learn, mess everything up, tons of failure. 30s are build. Build the self, build the business, build the family. Build the self, build the business, build the family. Build. 30s are for building. Right? You got to take all the mistakes you made in your teens and 20s, and you got to build. And it's not just me saying this. This is very important.
Yeah.
Okay, so morning, afternoon, evening. Evening is for R&R. We call it intentional recovery, quality time with Emilia, and food. And we also exercise in the morning. We used to do the evenings. Okay, so the mornings are for me and for fitness, exercise, and learning. The afternoons are straight up 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, front-facing coaching, training, and podcasting. Sundays are back office day, because otherwise everything would be neglected. I'm the CFO and CEO, so I got to do all the finances and the metrics and everything. And then the evenings after 8 is for my family, and for food, and for quality time, and for intentional recovery. And I need at least, the minimum I can get for R&R per evening is 45 minutes without burning to the ground. So I've got it down to 45 minutes. Now, again, you don't need to take my structure, but what you can do is learn from it. All my 23 clients, we track metrics and habits, and we have structure. They all use a calendar. It's very smart. Morning, afternoon, evening. Give me 3 things you're going to do every morning, 3 things you're going to do in the afternoon, 3 things you're going to do in the evening. Just give me 3. That's 9 things a day. Even just that will make you 10 times more successful and fulfilled if they're the right things. And if you don't know what things they should be, you got to start with your goals and then sort of reverse engineer. So if you want to be healthy, exercise should be one of them. Get good sleep, that kind of thing. So ultimately, that's kind of a little bit of a high level. I use something called peak performance tracking. I use Google Sheets. I track metrics and habits every day. I use a calendar. I also have what I call an MIT list, most important task list. I also have a journal called a Dreamliner that helps me organize myself. But ultimately, you mentioned conscientiousness.
Yeah.
Conscientiousness is the most correlated with business success in the statistics. There's a personality test called Hexaco. Have you ever heard of Hexaco?
No, I heard of Myers-Briggs, but not Hexaco.
Okay. Hexaco, you can look it up. I think it's the best. There's DISC, there's all the other one. I like Hexaco a lot. Hexaco, all the research shows that business success is correlated most with conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is broken into 4 subfacets, which is organization, being organized, prudence, which is intelligence, the ability to make the right decision. It's the right chess move. Discipline, it's called diligence, which is work ethic.
Yeah.
And then the last one is perfectionism, which is being thorough. It's kind of like 6 Sigma, 3 defects per million transactions. Like double check your emails. Kev isn't very conscientious.
Yeah.
So when we partnered together, he was really warm and loving and inclusive and great with people. That's why he's the chief sales officer.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Kev. That's not what you say about me.
Yeah.
Him and I would go give the same speech. Everyone would love him and hate me, and I didn't understand. I'm not as relatable. And that's okay. They need to know that Kevin is warm and loving and relatable. They like him, but they need to know he has my standards. And that's why we're being successful, because we're a good yin and yang. Bill Gates, Paul Allen, Steve Jobs, Wozniak. Champions come in pairs of 2. There's a lot of data to back this up, right? Oprah has someone in her corner who's an engineer for sure. I just don't know who it is yet. But the point that I'm making here is conscientiousness is very correlated with business success. So Kev has had to help me learn how to communicate things effectively to people who don't think in numbers. Because as an engineer, I basically didn't know how to talk to people who don't think in math. And I had to help him get organized. I mean, that dude was a fucking mess when we met. And now he's very conscientious. He uses a calendar and he tracks habits, and he's very successful now. Drives a $65,000 car, an 18-person team, and $500,000 business, and that's all great. But it never could have happened if he wasn't humble enough to say, "Dude, help me."
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's interesting, I think with people, because one thing that I love about you, and I can relate to you on a deeply level, is the ability to be conscientious and just essentially get things done. And when I talk to a lot of people, they don't have that quality to nowhere to our degree. And so when that doesn't happen, I get frustrated, and I feel like people say one thing and do another, and that's kind of something I've learned, like, is like the biggest thing, like I always say. And so I always tell my friends, I pay a lot more attention to what you do, not necessarily what you say, because what you do is a greater reflection of your character, in my opinion. Now, not everybody is willing to do what you do to achieve your level of success and greatness. Or so what, I think for me, the purpose of this podcast is everyone wants to understand what being their best versions of themselves look like and how they can achieve that. How do you find what is for Alan and what isn't for you? Because I think a lot of people would probably say, hey, not all of this is for me, but some parts of it is for me, and what can they take from you that you think would greatly benefit their lives?
Well, I love the buffet style. I say that to my clients all the time. I said, my job is not to make you like me.
Yeah.
My job is to help you reach your potential.
Yeah.
In alignment with your goals and your core values. And it's really important to make that distinction, because I was unhappy when I wasn't this way.
Yeah.
You might be unhappy being this way. Right? So we're all different. Let me share this, because I realized this, and when I realized this, it changed my life, because I could never articulate what I knew. It's one of my biggest challenges in life, is like I have these deep knowings, but I can't communicate them because I think in math and science and physics okay. So,
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I found out, I looked it up, there's a species of dog called a canine, and there's 500 recognized breeds. Well, Homo sapiens, there's probably 500 types. And we're not all Great Danes. We have Dalmatians and Chihuahuas and Great Danes and, I don't know, whatever, Pomeranians. The point is not everyone's supposed to be the same. Yeah. All dogs are dogs. That's the species. But then there's the sub-breed. There's 500 different recognized breeds globally of dog. Mm-hmm. So why are we all thinking we're supposed to be the same? There's men, there's women, there's conscientious men, there's conscientious women, there's more art people, there's science people. Like, we're supposed to be different.
Yeah.
And there's certain principles that apply to all of us. I think that's the duality people don't have. Mm-hmm. There are principles that apply to both you and I, Ike.
Yeah.
But we're not the same, and we're not supposed to be the same. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. That's what makes life amazing.
Yeah.
If we were all the same, it'd be pretty boring.
Yeah.
And so I've had to really try to understand, okay, so because people would come to me, to answer your original question, they'd come to me and they'd say, well, I want to be Oprah. And I would say, well, wait a minute, you're 39. Where was Oprah at 39? She's like, oh. I said, well, do you want to grind for 20 years like she did? She didn't miss one Oprah show. I've studied Oprah's career, right? She didn't miss a single Oprah show for at least 10 years. Not one time sick, not once.
Wow.
Like, you can't just say, I want to be Oprah. You have to understand how Oprah became Oprah and reverse engineer it and then make it unique to you. I'm not supposed to be Michael Phelps. I'm not supposed to be Tony Robbins. I'm not supposed to be James Clear. I'm supposed to be Alan Lazaros.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I don't track habits, learn how to speak, and swim occasionally, metaphorically.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, I get frustrated like you do, because people say, I want X, and then they go do Y, and I always joke, I say, I want to build this iPhone and then go to the beach. Like, you can't do that. And unfortunately, people don't. Everything is reverse engineered. You can't say, hey, I want to start a multi-million-dollar company and then just go to the beach. And it's like, well, what do you mean? I know a multimillionaire who's at the beach. Yeah, I do too, but he was the CEO of tech companies for years, and before that, he started at the bottom, and he worked his way up, and now he's flying private to the Bahamas and asking me to come with him. I'm not interested, brother. I'm 36. What were you doing at 36? I appreciate it. He wants me to golf. He wants me to hang out. I'm not interested. Thank you. But I'm building. You weren't on the golf course at 36. You were grinding. And I want to achieve my own success. And so a lot of people want all that, and to be honest, that's fine for them, but what I've found very paradoxical and very unfortunate is that the people who want to fly on a private jet to the Bahamas usually will not do what's necessary to earn that. And this is a metaphor for everybody. Kevin's in great shape, okay? Kevin would look great on the beach. But here's the paradox. The dude's not at the beach. He's at the gym.
Yeah.
So if your goal is to look good on the beach, it means you need to be in the gym. If your goal is to look good in the gym, you're probably not getting a hard enough workout in. Because if your goal is to look good rather than get better, you're probably doing easy reps. And growth doesn't come from easy reps. So life is very paradoxical, and you have to really filter everything through your own self-awareness. So it's really easy to villainize me, or villainize Steve Jobs, or villainize Jeff Bezos, or villainize achievers like Michael Phelps of, I would never want to be like that. Well, that's your choice. Michael Phelps decided at 13 he wanted to win more Olympic gold medals than anyone ever had, and he achieved it. And yes, he paid the price, and he's open about that. And I think that you got to own it. Whatever you are, own it. Maybe you are a Chihuahua, own it. Maybe you're a Pomeranian, own it. If you're a Great Dane, own it. The truth is, we're all scared to be unique because we get ostracized and made fun of and chopped down. It's really brutal.
Yeah, I think that's actually the most important part. Honestly, if you want to sit and watch Netflix all day, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Own it. I think for me, my huge pet peeve is when people say one thing and then completely do another thing. Hey, I want to lose 15 pounds, 20 pounds, and get really ripped, and then you're sitting on the couch all day or watching TV. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's my thing. I have no problem if you literally say, hey, I love being fat and I love not doing what, and I love where I'm at, and that's cool. It's once what you're saying doesn't reflect what you're doing, then we have a problem.
Yeah, that's hypocritical, right? I mean, and at the end of the day, the problem that I think you face in that, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I feel deeply about this too. I think people say, like, I love myself even if I'm heavier, when in reality to themselves. And I've done that too. I was really out of shape before my car accident, and I was pretending that I liked it. And the truth is, deep down, it was hurting me. And so a lot of people will say, like, oh, well, I don't really care about achievement, when deep down they actually really do. Mm-hmm. And so maybe it's not your job to call them out for that, but I think deep down we care about people. And for me, it's hard for me to see people suffer and then justify it with delusion and arrogance, when in reality what they really need is humility. And I'm very fortunate to have gotten all the humble pie at 26 during my car accident. That was so much humble pie, dude. It's still lasted me this long to just remember, like, Alan, you were down and out, you were miserable, you didn't know, you faced mortality, and I'll never forget the regret of how disappointed I was in myself for not giving it all I could. So unfortunately, that was my wake-up call that a lot of people don't get. And now at Next Level University and in my coaching, I'm basically trying to create those wake-up calls in smaller increments rather than a car accident.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think one of the great things about life is actually being humbled. Even though no one loves to be humbled, I think humility is a great vehicle for growth. However, it's interesting to me how everybody reacts differently to challenges. And part of this podcast is I often talk about what people are personally going through to celebrate them, but also learn how they react to it and grow from it. And it's interesting when you talk about your car challenge and the car accident you have. I think there's two types of people who, well, I feel like there's three types of people who would have reacted. I feel like there would be one person who would say, hey, like, this happened to me, and I, like, they might reflect on it, but continue their life as nothing, and not really do anything. Then there's people like you who are like, hey, like, I could have nearly died, and I realized I didn't achieve everything I wanted to do, and I'm gonna go out for everything I want. Then I also feel like there's a third type of person who would look at this and be like, man, I almost died. Now I'm gonna live my life as much as I can, and literally just start traveling the world, like,
YOLO.
And just YOLO, and just do like all types of adventurous things. And it's just so interesting to me how people can have the same situation, the same experience, and yet have a completely different outcome of how they react to something.
Very powerful. Very powerful. Yeah. They're known as trauma responses. Yeah. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So fight is fight to be better.
Yeah.
Flight is avoid the truth, avoid the pain. Freeze is do nothing. And then fawn is appease and become this sort of social chameleon. But the YOLO thing, to be completely transparent, I did a lot of YOLOing before.
Yeah.
So I was all YOLO'd out, man. You know what's really fascinating? So I lived in LA for a time.
Okay,
I drove across the country in my early 20s. I think I was 20 or 21. It was right after college. I think I was 21, maybe 22, because it was after my master's program. How old was I in 2013? 12 years ago.
12 years, yeah, just 12 years.
Then?
So 24, yeah, 24, yeah.
Well, I drove from Boston to Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we lived there for 3 months.
Wow.
And then some family stuff happened. I came home. I actually had an interview at SpaceX, actually, at the time.
Cool.
But I had to come home, family stuff. Not good family stuff. But when I was out there, here's what I'll share with everybody.
Sure.
I partied in high school, I partied in college, and I partied in corporate. And I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. I grew up in an environment that had a lot of partying. My mom and stepdad loved to party. Plus, the 90s were wild times, man. In the US, the 90s were wild.
Yeah.
And I was born in 1988. And so my childhood was boats and ski trips and BMWs. But my mom and stepdad did not get along. And that's a polite way to put it. And then when my stepdad left, it was around the same time as the dot-com bubble burst. And we were broke. I didn't have
Yeah.
cable. I got free lunch at school. Mom trades in her BMW for a little Honda Civic. How do we keep the house and the family type of thing? And so I grew up around a lot of partying and a lot of YOLO.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was all YOLO'd out. And so I don't want to sit here and ever be dishonest. I think I partied enough for 12 lifetimes. So I was done with all that. And I knew it was empty.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was empty because I had done it. Sometimes you don't know it's empty until you do it for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
And I did it more than long enough to realize how empty it is. And now I'm in this magnificent relationship that's it's for life for me. And we have we run 3 businesses between the two of us. We have what a lot of people would consider a boring life. But I grew up in a very dramatic, sometimes traumatic, running amok situation in Massachusetts. And I like boring.
Yeah. And
Because I know the opposite. Yeah, thank you, brother. And so again, it all comes back to what's good for you, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think sometimes we look at boring as a bad thing, but I think boring, it yields a lot of peace. And I think peace, there's a quote by Naval Ravikant that I absolutely love. And he says, peace is happiness at rest, and happiness is peace in motion. And I think a lot of times when we talk about when we talk about boringness, I think it yields a lot of great peace, and I think it's just a good way of reframing boredom. I don't think there's anything wrong with seeking what you have, man. And sometimes I feel like we have to have those moments of meaningless sex, of useless drinking, and hanging out with people who don't really even care about you. I think I do value friendships, but one thing about friendships I've learned is there are people who say they're really your friends, and then there are people who, once you start to go amok or that your success isn't really going the way it is, they will show your true characters. You know what I'm saying? And I think and that's important to distinguish too. And you start to actually learn who really wants to see you win once you start to continue rising, because a lot of people really don't care. Like, let's be real. Like, whether you're doing great on a podcast or you're making great real estate investments, sometimes I tell certain friends some of the great stuff I'm doing, and I feel like my success can be a reminder of how poorly they're doing, and so they can't really relate to it or actually be as happy for me. So
what it is they're insecure potentially.
Yeah.
And you shared with me, we did a business breakthrough session, you and I.
Yeah.
You shared all of your success with me, and I'm really grateful.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons you felt safe to do that is because I'm more successful than you.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to share your successes in a room of people that are insecure about the lack of success they have.
Yeah.
And it all depends on, like, the higher you climb in life, the more you get chopped down. And it can be like, if your tree grows taller and taller and taller and taller and taller, you get chopped down by bullies. There's only 2 types of people that I watch out for. Spoiled brats who were born into wealth and don't want to work for anything. And those aren't my people. And bullies. Bullies are people who chop other people down and they bully people. They put others down to feel better about themselves. And so for you, Ike, when you first shared your successes with me, I could tell you had been chopped down.
Yeah, a lot.
And it took one to know one, because I have too. I mean, dude, half the things I've said on this podcast, people are gonna be like, "Oh, good for you, bro."
Yeah.
Like, whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm fulfilled, and I'm gonna keep going. And if you're that unhappy where you need to leave hate comments, get a life.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is one way or another they'll face that one day. And I'm all done trying to save everybody. I have my absolute people and my absolutely not people, and I hope that I can give this to you, brother. Yeah. Because it took me 30 years to figure this out.
Yeah, well, everyone says you're crazy about doing something until you reach like Tony Robbins like success, and then everyone's like, "Oh, I remember when Alan was blah blah blah," and they act like you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the wild thing. And I think when you're young, like we are, you're in your 20s and 30s, we still may be in that mode where we have to keep building our character, proving ourselves, and really being appreciated for what we are. So, you mentioned some of the greats like Oprah and MJ and Tony Robbins, and we can all learn from people like them. For you, what's your ultimate purpose, or what do you hope to to achieve? Because I know you like you mentioned, you're an engineer and you're reverse things. Like what is like the end goal? What do you feel like would you like to hope to have after doing this? Because you're 2,000 episodes and you're doing 51 episodes a week. There's gotta be something that's like, all right, man, like
Pulling
pushing
me.
you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, it's push and pull. Push is like the grind, and pull is what you feel called to.
Yeah.
And now it's more pull than it is push.
Okay.
But I think that's an evolution. It used to be more push than pull.
Interesting.
But I have my mission statement up here, actually behind me. It's to build
Sure.
the most positively impactful personal development company in history.
Mm.
And you know what's actually kind of funny about that is I remember when I first created that mission statement with Kev, I thought it was going to be really, 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 really hard. And it is. Selling personal development is very hard to do because most people don't want to look in the mirror. Most people don't, want to work, all that stuff. Statistically speaking, it's easier to sell ice cream than personal development, right?
For sure.
But now that I realize there's very few personal development companies,
Yeah.
I actually think we're doing something very unique. So the calling, I can give it to you in one sentence, and I do this with clients. So take a triangle and put your one word in the center, and then you put your three passions, and then you do an upside down triangle, which makes a star, and you put your three vehicles. So I'll give you mine, and then hopefully your listeners will get something from this. So my one word is potential. As you can tell, I've said it 50 times on this episode. To help people reach their full potential. So I, Alan Lazaros, am here to reach my full potential and help others do the same in fitness, personal development, and business through the vehicles of coaching, training, and podcasting. Everything outside of that lane, I'm not interested. That's a lot of clarity. Now, I didn't start there, Ike. Okay, I couldn't have told you that 5 years ago, never mind 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get more clarity, and then you get more motivated, and then you grow, and then you get more clarity, and you get humble pie, and you get lessons, and you get and success, failure, blah, blah, blah. And you just learn more and more and more of who you are. So I love the metaphor, and I got to jump in a minute, but I want to give you this metaphor to go with. This is the iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I was a senior in high school when the very first iPhone came out. Apple and Steve Jobs announced the iPhone in 2007, and it was an iPod and a phone and the internet, and it was a revolutionary breakthrough. And I think it's the best metaphor. That revolutionary breakthrough would be absolute trash now. It would be terrible compared to this phone. Awful, atrociously bad. Allen 3.6 is infinitely better, 1,000 times better than Allen 2.6. Allen 2.6 was 1,000 times better than Allen 1.6. Trust me, I did some dumb shit in high school. Everyone does dumb shit in high school. You're dumb, you're young, you don't know anything. It's everyone sucks at first, right? The thing that separates people over time as you get older and older and older is how much you upgrade your software and your firmware and your hardware. Apple invests a lot into research and development to make this better. They make the camera better. They make the software better. I think it updated last night. So you got to do the same with yourself. If you want a great phone, you buy an iPhone. If you want a great life, you build one inside of yourself. And I think that's just very true. Just make sure it's unique to you. It has to feel aligned for you. And I think fulfillment and meaning are a byproduct of being in alignment with who you're meant to be.
I agree.
And no one can tell you that for you.
Yeah, I agree, man. Well, anyways, I think this is a beautiful place to end. I want to thank you for sharing your story, sharing your wisdom, and I applaud you for having the courage to be yourself. I think it's hard to speak greatly about success and achieving it and working hard towards it, because it's not really popular or the sexy thing to do. But, even though this message is not for everyone, I think it will reach the right people, and the people who would hear this will really need it. So thank you for your time and your efforts, Alan. And remember, everybody, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of your dreams. And if God is for us, who can be against us? Thank you.